guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Talkoffame podcast. I'm Kylie Martini as your host, and you may wonder who today's guest is. I'm super excited to introduce you to Mary Kay Savarese. Is that how you say it?
Savarese, you did great. Yes.
Perfect. And Nick, who's the author of Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, is a contemporary spiritual mystery that transcends three genres such as mystery, spirituality, and romance, and just came out with a new book called The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, which is a fantasy adventure trilogy intertwined with romance will leave you wanting more into the book. And welcome to the podcast, Mary. It's so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you and your audience, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am an award-winning best-selling author, and I am known for my quirky titles, just as you introduced. Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, who knew, which was my first traditionally published novel, which I also like to let the audience know. I am not self-published. I have a publisher, and I am traditionally published. But these quirky titles come from events in my life, and that's where I start with that quirky title. And my second book, part of the trilogy, is The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And you know, if you would like, I would love to tell your audience how these titles came about.
Of course, go ahead. Say anything you want about it. I love it.
The Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume. Who knew? It is so true. Many years ago, I visited a wildlife reserve in St. Augustine, Florida. And at the end of the tour, well, I should just tell you, this wildlife reserve is an old folks' home for big cats, tigers, lions, panthers, cougars. And they go there. They're possibly tossed aside from a TV show or cable show or movie, or actually at that point in time, people were still able to have them as pets. And at the end of the tour, I go to this very delicate cage, and I see this vat overflowing with bubbles, and it's like 12 feet wide, 5 feet high. And I'm wondering, what is this? And out walks out this incredible 600-pound Siberian tiger, walks across the plank, looks as though he's taking off a rope, and slips into this vat of bubbles. And the handler is standing on a ladder, also behind a very thin cage, and sprays Obsession Perfume on this tiger's tongue. And Kylie, I was in awe. I was like, oh my gosh. I said, that is the title for my next manuscript. And I am an overnight success, a 10-year overnight success. My goal was to be traditionally published, and that's how long it took me to have my first novel published, and the Tigers book was the first one that was published.
That is seriously terrific. Like, to have, like, I never heard of a thing of tigers taking bubble baths, so it's actually insane. Like, I never heard of such thing until you mentioned it. Like, that's incredible.
And it's so amazing to look at. Tigers are the only big cats that can sit in those bubbles. They're really the only ones that do like the water. So you can go on the internet and you will see them. They love it. And the reason they love the Obsession Perfume, that's another thing. You're like, what? Obsession Perfume. They love it because it calms them down. It's used by wildlife handlers in the wild. They'll spray rocks, and the tigers will come and nuzzle against these rocks, and it just calms them. It's the pheromones in it, something in the pheromones that attracts them, and they absolutely love it. It's hysterical to watch.
Definitely. Like, I definitely need to see like a tiger in a bubble bath though sometime next 12 years. I definitely need to.
Do. And my publisher said to me, Mary, please tell me you have a tiger in a bubble bath. What does this have to do with your story? Well, the title is very much a metaphor, because as I said, these big cats are tossed aside like an old shoe. So I took that theme, and my protagonist is a middle-aged woman, and after 25 years of marriage, she is tossed aside like an old shoe. And she begins anew, just like these big cats and this tiger did. And I was so fascinated with that. But unfortunately, my protagonist goes, there's one murder after another. Did she do it, or will she be next? So I always begin with something that gives me the idea for a title. Then I usually have an ending to it. I don't have the middle. That comes as I start writing. But the second thing I do after the title is I create the characters. That is very, very important.
For sure. And like before you became a writer, like you were a minister, right?
Yes, a ministry of love, a Eucharistic minister in the Catholic faith. And what I do, I am commissioned. So basically what that means is you can assist the priest during a mass in handing out the host. And you are also honored to be able to carry the host within a pouch. And I would bring this to people that were shut-ins or to nursing homes. And you can go, once you are commissioned within the Catholic faith, you can take this with you anywhere.
Oh, wow. Like, I know, like, with, like, you move in, like, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, like, I know with being an author, like, do you still do it today?
Not in Florida yet. I joined a new Catholic church here, but I have not approached them yet to be able to do that. And it was in Connecticut that I began that ministry of love, being a Eucharistic minister. And Kylie, it was such a wonderful experience, especially meeting people and serving them within the Catholic faith and giving them the host, because they're not able to come to the church or if they're shut in. So as you know, just to meet people like I'm meeting you, it's just absolutely wonderful.
It is. Like any opportunity I have to meet people is honestly like the best like happiness experience ever. And like with you doing ministry in states as New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, in which you're about to do in Florida, like how did you kind of manage to make transitions to work in like different states?
Well, it's like I said, I wasn't doing it in I grew up in Brooklyn, and within the faith, I did other things. I had other jobs. I was a CCD teacher, and it really wasn't until about 15 years ago that I was approached to become a Eucharistic minister in Connecticut. So that's where I was commissioned. And I can now take that commission and go to my local church that I just joined and, and see if they're interested. They may have a lot of Eucharistic ministers, and believe it or not, at some point, you are commissioned only for a certain number of years. So it allows other people to be able to take that journey as well. But because in Connecticut, I did it for the 15 years, and the reason was the shut-ins and the people in the nursing homes. They then allow you to continue. So I can still take that ministry and I plan on doing it at some point, but I haven't had the opportunity yet. I'm a little busy with new books coming out in the trilogy and trying to get the editing done with my publishing house. So it's been a little busy here for me.
Of course, like, editing a new book or making a new book is always busy. Like with me, like I was like, when I started writing something, I'm like, it's like forever. I'm like, why is this taking forever? But like, what makes ministry different when like doing it in like different states? Like, is in every state different with ministry?
No. Within the Catholic faith, it's the same thing. You will either be serving the parishioners, the priests, the communion, or you can go, as I said, to nursing homes or to shut-ins. So it will not make it any different within the Catholic faith. I don't know what it's like within different religious faiths, but it's the same throughout any state.
Ooh, I
with
didn't know that.
Catholicism.
That's
Yeah.
definitely something I learned today.
Oh,
Like
good.
I thought it was probably like a little different in different states.
No.
Ooh, now I need to keep that in mind now. But like, were you a fan of books before writing? Like writing some books?
You mean like reading and I've always, yeah, I've loved to read, but it's not that I spent my whole time. I mean, when you're working and then I got married, I raised the family, and it really wasn't until the oldest out of three kids, the oldest went off to college. And as they went off, it gave me more time. And I always put those ideas of being a writer on the back burner. But I love to write in fantasy because reality is too real for me.
I know.
So and it was finally when I did have some time that I began, and I had to prove to myself that I can actually write a novel.
Yeah, like anyone could write a novel. Like especially with me, I didn't start reading books. Well, I read books my childhood, but
Yeah,
like I didn't start actually loving reading books until about last year. Because
yeah,
now, since last year, I've been loving books. I literally just started probably my third or second book of the summer because I just love reading. And so
yeah.
like with other than like reading, like do you think you should take a chance when you're looking for a new beginning? I know like you are very passionate about like a new beginning and stuff like that. So do you think like you should take a chance when you're looking for a different beginning? Because obviously like ministry and being an author are two different things.
Totally two different things. One really doesn't have anything to do. Absolutely. This is my, you could say second chapter. I mean, my life and raising the family. So even third chapter. And because I had this passion and ideas I wanted to get down, it was just wonderful for me to wake up every day and to be able to create and to be a creative and to write. And it gave me such pleasure. As I said, it took me 10 years. I would be submitting, and you have to build a thick skin because, yeah, you can write. Not what we're looking for. That's the way it always came back.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say rejection after rejection, but because I loved it so much. And absolutely, if there's something, it doesn't have to be writing. People have hobbies that they can turn into a passion. For me, this is my new career now. I was able to take that passion and turn it into a career, but it can be anything. It gives you joy in life, go for it.
100%. Like it's especially for writing, like with agencies and stuff like that, it goes a lot of rejection. That's like,
Yes.
what's the point of even writing a book if it's gonna be rejected? But then there's always self-publishing now. Is that a good thing too?
Yes. One of the things I've learned, the world has opened up for authors because when I was writing and I was submitting, self-publishing was taboo. But nowadays, the world has completely changed for authors. You have self-publishing, you have co-publishing. There is still traditional publishing. I'm with the small publishing house. A lot of new publishing houses have opened up, smaller ones, medium-sized ones. The larger ones, unless you're going in with a literary agent, have closed to a traditional thinking author. And my second book, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, which is so much a part of our everyday lives, that when I approached my first publisher, they were not interested in a trilogy. So then I pursued a different publishing house, and they very much were. And Toile is, as I said, it's wallpaper. It's in our everyday lives. And I would walk by in my house in Connecticut, and I had all these Toile wallpapers that I loved, and I would look at them. And Toile tells a story. It's not a mural. It's different scenes of life. And it could be contemporary. It could be absolutely anything. You can have people in it, no people in it, but it's repeats. And I saw betrayal, and I saw love, and I saw a story there. So I then wrote that. And that's really become my favorite, is The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And the second book in the trilogy will be out this summer.
Ooh, I'm super excited. And like the girl in the toilet wallpaper is a fantasy adventure trilogy about with romance and like what are the
Yes.
characters you relate to the most and why?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Kylie? Why did the
Like like which of the characters like do you relate to the most and why?
you know what? I have to say each character because what happens is after I have the title, which I'm inspired by something, I have a general idea of where I want it to end. Characters are so important. So I literally start thinking, okay, of a basic story and what characters would fit most. So I become the characters. Not that I'm walking around and I'm talking like them, but in my head, I truly become the characters where I'm like falling in love with each of the characters. And you have to think what inspires them, what motivates them. And the only way to do that is to become them.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do have a favorite, like in some of my other manuscripts, because I was writing for years. I was just rejected for years. You like some characters just are just so like big to you,
Mhm.
and but I love all of them. And sometimes there's a little piece of me that can go into a character, but for the most part it's, I'm inspired by names. Like I will go around with the little green book and I'll hear something interesting, the title of something, I write it, a name. And sometimes these interesting names you hear and I go, oh, I've got to use that as a character.
Yeah, it's like that's why I love about the world today is like anything like you say or hear will become something very important for your next book or something you use in the future.
Yes, absolutely, every little bit out there. And like I'm an author, but I think authors tend to be more introverts. What we do is we're observing and we're taking it all in and we're getting ideas for stories. So my all my extrovert stuff will come out in my stories.
It's like all extrovert that you never had before. It's literally just coming out like you never did before.
Yes.
But like, how do like you find like their creative mindset to write?
Um, it gives me joy. That whole creative process. As an author, and I'm with a small publishing house, you write the book, you work with an editor, and you have to market. For me, the social media stuff, the marketing, I love the creative part. And as I am creating and you're writing the book, it becomes very sad at the end when I'm finished. But then there's new joy. I'm thinking, oh, the next book. So now I'm working on the trilogy. And the second book in the Star Writers trilogy is going to be a little different. In The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, the first book, I take a theme. It's called Star Writers. It's written in the stars. And you get that theme throughout The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And then I bring you back to the third book, which will be Return the Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. But I did something very different in between. I made it between the two earthly bookends. I wrote an ethereal story. And what that means is I created worlds around heaven and hell. The hardest thing I've ever done is to create these worlds because I didn't experience it. And I wanted to make it so interesting to bring you into a whole new place that does not exist.
That's so interesting. Is that like when you read something that does not exist, it makes you want to be part of that world. And that's the best part about being an author is that like you can imagine so many things that
Yeah.
is not real. And it's because you have your own imagination as an author that you're like, okay, I'm gonna use this, whatever it's like a difference between heaven and hell, like is using it as a kind of imaginary to write this book.
Yes. Yeah, it's fun and I love it. The creative part of it, it just You know, when you have that passion for something, you can't wait to get to it. And at the same time, it could be hell as you're trying to write it, because you'll go back a million times editing something, or it's just not right, or it's not connecting. But I enjoy that very, very much.
That's so awesome. And like as an author, like what do you want your audience to kind of feel or react when they're reading your books?
As I said, for me, reality is too real. So the genre that I love is the fantasy. So what I want them to feel is grab a glass of wine or a beer, relax. My writings are all easy, you know, like you're relaxing, you're on the beach, or you're on vacation, or you have time to read. I take you on an adventure. I want you to experience just the joy of the characters. And because even as a reader, you become very much these characters, and you fall in love with them, and you want to see certain things happen to them. So I want to take you on a journey where you're never bored. Twists and turns. That's always very important to me in all my writings. I don't want you to ever expect what will happen. I really want to surprise you.
Like that's what every audience that is reading a book wants, is that like they never want to put a book down. And that's what the author's mission is, that like they want to write the twists and turns and the interesting parts so no one can like put the book down, and also buy the book as well, because of course you want some readers. But like when people read those books, like they're like, okay, I think I read this book in like 200-page book in about an hour. Like I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
And that's like what every author's mission is. Like they want someone to never put their book down after all the hard work.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And when you're finished reading, to walk away with an experience. You know, hey, that was great. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read another book written by this author. But it's wonderful. It depends what genres you love, you know, and I love fantasy adventure movies, and I love to just create something that everything's already out there, but you turn it into your own mousetrap, and you make something new out of it. And that's what inspires me to keep writing.
Same to me as well. And like, I know with every author, everyone has a different author's guide, but like, what is kind of like your own inspiring author's guide for putting pen to paper? Like, with being an author, it can be very difficult to write and come up with ideas. Even it can take years to write. Like for me, it was very difficult to actually figure out like what might interest people and what I write. So like, how do you kind of do that?
I can give your audience the secret to writing a novel right now. If you can see it in your head as a movie, you can sit down and you can write a novel. Now you're going to say, oh my God, I'm going to write 300-400 pages. Well, if you just write 1 page a day, and the way you write 1 page a day is, right, you start with the sentence. The sentence becomes a paragraph becomes many paragraphs, and you have 1 page before you know it. You go up to work, you do something else. So you figure if you could do that almost every day, you can have like 325 pages. You can have a book. And for me, there are some authors that they have to do block by block, and it's like they have the chapters. For me, one of the most exciting things is I have a general idea. I have my characters. I know I'm starting here. I kind of want to get to there, but something unbelievable happens. All of a sudden, I'm doing something with this, and an idea pops in. I'm like, oh my God, that's wonderful. I wouldn't have had that idea before if I didn't get to that point. But truly, that's what I was told. If you can see it as a movie in your head, you too can be an author.
Oh yeah, because like even if you see a movie, like just picture the book on TV. Like if you want it to be a hit television or movie, make it a hit television or movie. Like no one can stop you in writing a book. The only person that can stop you is yourself and your mindset.
Exactly. And as we all know in life, I mean, everybody's always going to say, oh, are you kidding me? You can't do that. You can't do that. And that, if there's any advice I can give anybody, it's never give up on yourself. If you have that passion that's in your soul and your heart and you want to do something, go for it. Do it. Never give up on yourself and just go la, 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 la. Don't listen to anybody. Because if I took every one of those rejections and I went, oh, forget it, it'll never happen. And it could have never happened for me. It wasn't overnight, but those are one of the things I can promise you. You know, it's not necessarily that it happens overnight, but if you stick with it and you have that joy it gives you, it'll happen for you too.
That is so well said. There's literally nothing I can add to that because you said it well, like you said like so well. And like, how do you think God has to do with our writing? Like, do you think he plays kind of the role in kind of how we write?
I always think of this when somebody asks me that. Like, I look at my 3 kids. Each one is so different, but each one has such an incredible gift of something that they are so that they can do, or gifts. So everybody has these incredible gifts they're given. Do you take advantage of it? I truly believe we each have a purpose in life, and not just one purpose. I believe many purposes. Like, I could just, all the things you've done, all the things I've done, a lot more than you. Like, there's so many purposes in life. And it's like, if you can find some joy in something new that it'll give you, then, you know, you will always find happiness. Because writing gives me happiness, the creativity part that gives me the happiness.
Because like there's always a sort of like of happiness when you do what you love, whether it's like talking to people or writing or going to work every single day and seeing people, communicating. There's always a sort of love that you have, or joy. I forgot to mention joy, but there's always that mention of joy or happiness that you're proud of in your work, of course. Because if you write something that you're not proud of, or you don't like, or not like fascinated by it, that you wish like you do not want to like close the book, then what's the point of releasing it even if you're not satisfied with it?
Yeah. And the Star Writers trilogy, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, the second book is titled The Star Writers Club, and the third book will be Return the Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And that's all written, like, they'll ask authors, who's your audience? And you can't just say, oh, it's everybody. Well, my audience are young adults and older. If you love fantasy, if you love adventure, if you love romance, then you'll love my novels. And my novels are everywhere. I'm on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, independent bookstores, which I tell people, please go support them. If the book's not on the shelf, they'll get it for you the next day. And ebooks. And I mean, I'm also in the process of The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper becoming an audiobook. So I'm very excited about that, because I have this wonderful gal and she is an actor, and we've been in touch. So I'm really excited about The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper becoming an audiobook.
Ooh, that's so exciting. Like the audiobook would change, I feel like would change everything. Like with everything, like whether it's buying it online or even going in person, whether it's like Barnes and Noble or Amazon or whatever it is, it'll like whether it's listening on your phone or reading it, like it's like whatever you're reading is always something amazing because you're seeing something through the lens of the author's eyes.
Right. Every author wants to take you on a journey, something you'll enjoy. Okay. And my writings are easy reads, so
no need to worry. No need to worry. But like, how much research did you need to do for your books? Like, did you have to do like a lot of research, or did you kind of like have to lay a love for it?
I do research. Depends what my it depends what you're writing. So depending on, like, if I put them in a certain place in Italy, which I do with The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, well, I visited these parts. So they went into my book. Well, this is incredible. But if you're writing about certain parts of the world, you have to research it and try to bring the reader into it. So you have to be authentic. a career, maybe one of your characters has a certain career. It depends what you need to do, and you want it to be authentic, so you have to research it.
Like it would be honestly so bad if you didn't, though. It wouldn't like turn out well for like probably the author, because like even if you write something, even in the research, you're like, this way is not what this person talking about. Like what?
And the other thing, and I'm very humbled, the other thing as an author, it's very important. You want your books to get awards. So Tiger's La Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, who knew, has garnered 8 awards. The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, 5 awards. So what's very humbling is you are up against other authors' work. And by the time it gets to that point where the book is traditionally published, it's a fight to get the reviewer to, or the people that give out the awards, because everything is a point system. So it's not that they see who you are. Nope. Everything has to do with the structure and where the story takes you and your genre. So that's very exciting too.
For sure. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. It was such a blast, and I can't wait to read these books and what everything you have in store. It's seriously so awesome, and I can't wait to see what we have in the future. And everyone, please go check out our books. It's seriously terrific. And thank you so much, Mary, for coming on and taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. And, your audience can follow me. I have an author website, Mary K. Savarese, MaryKSavarese.com. And it's www. And you can find like a Toile world there, and you find all the information on me there. And it'll lead you to the books as well.
Perfect. Everyone go check it out. And I hope everyone's having a great rest of your day whenever you're listening. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, guys. And thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day, Mary.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.